Stepping out from the chaos, I let in a breath of fresh air, or as fresh as it's going to get in a city. I do hate going to the precinct. It's a fucking zoo filled with animals, people who step in included. But it's not like the city is any better. Humans are just a higher form of animals after all. We all delude ourselves into thinking otherwise, and I call up the car to take me away from it all. Though I can't bring myself to step inside the house when I do get home. Johannes has already gone in to berate and guide whichever men Harvey has sent from the force to investigate. They'll be one of ours, of course. The men and women who could be coerced into doing what is asked of them with a bit of bribery and a bit of blackmail. These are men who have long been jaded by their time in the force and knows how unfair the world can be. Why not profit off it, too? They'll have to make sure any evidence implicating me of a crime doesn't make it to official hands. Put Steele's prints on a knife if they need to procure the murder weapon. And do whatever else is necessary so it all leads away from Luke Wright. Really, I'm in no mood to deal with them. I may just end up shooting one or the other. They're far too informal, far too yappy, dogs that don't know their manners. And I'd hate to send them to the pound and let them be put down when they can still be of use. And I get no rest with them lurking about my bedroom if they aren't trying to pillage the fridge for free food. Might as well stay put out here for the time being. Gray skies loom over in the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds to Luxbourne. Until then, it doesn't hurt to be out here for fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is at the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. These were the first to be brought here and planted on my request, and if nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were Mother's favorites. Closing my eyes, I lift up my chin to welcome the light that shines upon me. And for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers, peaceful, blooming, and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? But I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life, after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days. And I want to forget about them, even for just a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me, as I neither worship the religion nor have any graves to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. But it's a date as good as any for me to grieve. Otherwise, I would have done so every single day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. I can remember how the flames looked at her flesh and how it consumed her body until there was nothing left but ash. I had stood there, watching with the operator and a social service worker. Though I could have been alone for all I cared. I felt alone. It was the most that could be done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her, proof that she had lived, is her name written in the ledger of Luxbourne Cemetery, a lighter, and me. Pulling out the lighter from my jacket, I can't stop myself from flicking it open to stare at the flame, and to run my thumb over her name. All in all, it isn't much, but it's something. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself when she would have given everything to make sure I could become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck in a nightmare right now. What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me. Alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair.
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone would have agreed. Not everyone had seen past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who sold her body to make ends meet, and had a bastard son because of it. They didn't see the mother who worked hard to put food on the table for me, the woman who gave and gave and gave to me while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I would not be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from Father, who plucked me out of an orphanage for his own selfish gain. I pocket the lighter before I feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would be the most likely victim of arson. Just the thought itself is blasphemous. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked, just enough to make a bouquet of the things in honor of Eleanor.
Would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe. You're always so forgiving. No matter what trouble I got into, more than I deserved. Especially now.
It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. Do I even deserve to talk to her now? It feels wrong to do so after what I've done. Not because I have blood on my hands, no, that's nothing new. But when it's her, when I've killed my lovely Hannah, I don't even need to worry about becoming my father anymore because I most certainly am much, much worse. Damien never killed Eleanor. He never had her blood on his hands. Staring at the flowers offers me no safety from that reality. The peace I came out here for is short-lived when my own mind betrays my guilt. But I'm a stubborn fool who's set in his ways, and I refuse to get up and go back into the house just yet, even if there's no real point in staying in the dirt. And I'm made even more determined to stay when I sense a presence standing behind me. When I told Shrocken that I would tell anyone and everyone to sod off and bother me another day, I do mean that.
Leave me alone, Shrocken. Go make dinner if you want to be useful.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord. The parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea, it could certainly use some.
The voice is not familiar, though I'm not really one to remember such things. Small talk unlocked. A beautiful woman stands behind me, a servant if one were to assume from what she wears. And that should certainly concern me when the other household staff members have been sent away for the day. Not to mention, I'd like to think I'd remember a pretty face like hers if she is under my employ. If she's pretending to be one of the staff, she's out of luck. And if that is the case, she shouldn't push her luck, lest I decide another murder will not ruin my day any further. But I can only feel, at the very least, indifference at her presence, and annoyance at most. Beautiful as she may be, that did not exempt her from my wish to be on my own. There's a part of me that feels like I'll snap at any moment for the smallest of reasons. And I'm just waiting for an excuse to let go again.
Didn't you get the memo? Are you new? Today is a day off. You aren't supposed to be here.
Am I not? I apologize, my lord. I wasn't aware that we are not expected at our stations this day. It's just that today is such a beautiful day. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Point. The birds are singing, and the flowers are blooming. It would be a shame to spend days like these on my own. But with these rare sunny days, I wish I could spend it with my sunshine, my Hannah. Something claws and lashes out inside me at the reminder of what happened, of what I did to her. To know that she is not here with me, to enjoy these scarce times when dark clouds do not plague our skies. An ill feeling takes over me at the mere thought. I have to swallow down the bile that rises in my throat, force my expression not to betray anything. Any sign of weakness is not allowed. The slightest of slip-ups and I'll be swarmed by sharks, hungry for blood. Perhaps talking with another person, a human being that doesn't know of my sins will do me some good. That or there'll be another pretty corpse by the end of the day.
All is forgiven. You must be really enthusiastic about your job if you didn't realize it's a day off.
I simply owe everything to the lady. Work is all I know. It's the only way I can repay her. But if my lord wishes to take it as enthusiasm, I won't hold it against you.
She smiles. She has that sort of smile that makes one's kindness shine through without words or action. It reaches her eyes, filling them with a strange sort of mirth, as if she's just thought of something very funny. And I'm hard-pressed to return the friendly gesture. I'll be civil. That doesn't mean I have to pretend that I enjoy it. Though I'm debating just dismissing her all the same.
The flowers in the countryside are rather beautiful, aren't they? Though I must admit, they do not appeal to me as much as the ones in my homeland do.
Not a native born, then. Probably a foreigner who thought looking for a job overseas would let her live the high life, only for stark reality to slap her right in the face. People like her are a dime a dozen, and she's probably one of those undocumented foreign workers, too. There's just a whole doozy of a debate about them nowadays. Though it's probably best not to bring the topic up, if only for the sake of my temper. Still, I have to rise to her bait. Flowers sound like a safe topic to breach. and one I rather enjoy.
Oh, is that a challenge I hear? You must not have seen a full British garden in bloom then. The roses, daffodils, thistles, and bluebells make for a grand display under the right care.
I think they are much too bright.
Oh, do elaborate. I've never heard anyone call it that way.
Just the way you present your flowers, that is. They are beautiful still. But I think they lack the softness and elegance of the chrysanthemums and cherry blossoms that I have grown up seeing.
Do you work in the gardens then?
Because that would explain why she's so unfamiliar to me. I don't meet much of the staff, if at all, preferring that they remain invisible until they are a necessity. The gardeners especially, as I only really go out to take care of Mother's daffodils and ask that I be left alone under those circumstances.
Oh, not at all. Although I do wish I were. I do enjoy working with plants quite a lot. Not that I am unhappy to be at your service, my lord, but no. I work for the lady of the house and carry out what she requests of me.
Lady of the house. Is that what that old hag of a head housemaid is telling the other staff to call her now? Not surprising, really. That woman has always been an upstart, self-important biddy who doesn't know her place. She should really just give up, retire and enjoy whatever remains of her years. At her age, she wouldn't manage even a position in the Queen's staff. Not that I don't respect that woman, of course. She and I are much alike. Except I succeeded in rising up the ranks of society, whereas she failed, and how she despises me for that fact. Her pride probably refuses her a graceful exit, and I don't really care all too much about her employment until such time the government forces me to retire her. With how old she is, she's always complaining about pains and aches and about young people. She's a difficult character, and she only acts real tolerable toward Hannah. Not that. That'd be a thing anymore since... well, now I'm just in a terrible mood.
Errand girl for Her Majesty, then? That job must be a right pain in the arse. I heard she runs her assistants ragged, probably killing you real slow so she can absorb your life essence in the hopes that it'll make her youthful.
She has her undesirable moments, but I am grateful enough. I have a roof over my head and bread to eat, though certainly the compensation the household provides for us is not lacking. It is generous for me. Too much. Too much for someone as lowly as I. I did not mean to imply insult, my lord. I'm simply...
I wave it off. Accusations that I'm paying my employees less than proper are often unfounded. I'd like to think I'm fair with my wages. And it doesn't seem she meant any harm by it, but...
You do not look too happy. I really did not mean to upset you. The lady of the house will surely be furious if she hears of this.
Oh, relax. That old hag isn't going to know because I'm not a snitch. But to be frank, I'm just wondering what you're here for. It's a nice day. A lovely lady like you should be out on the city with some lucky bloke.
Apologies. I did not mean to bother you. I thought you would appreciate the company, what with the rains about to return.
And if I do not appreciate the company, if I wish to be alone, don't you think I came out here for a purpose?
I did nothing to mask my indignance now. If this were any other time, maybe if she were someone else, I would try to be a tad bit civil for a while longer. But if my foul temper will make her run off, all the better. I don't need servants or their impostors nosing about my business. But she stays unperturbed. If anything, she's rooted herself to the spot, still and silent. She looks at me in quiet appraisal while I try my best to see if I can just ignore her. A difficult feat as her stare makes my skin crawl. And what she says next sends a chill up my spine.
But, my lord, that is not what I see. Loneliness casts shadows in your eyes and sharp lines on your face. I see a man who is thinking of the woman he loves. You miss her. You regret. Though I cannot fathom why. She did not deserve you.
With the money and power I have, it's no big surprise that there is a target painted on my back. There have been a few times that someone has tried to take care of me. I've been personally insulted before, called a bastard and a demon. They think angering me will make me slip. The very fact that they do try to get rid of me is insulting enough as it is. But this is different. Nobody has spoken to my mother before to get to me, because nobody knew of her. As far as the greater public is concerned, I am the son of Damien Wright, and whoever was unlucky enough to bear me is nothing but an unfortunate footnote in the history of our family.
Who are you? Who sent you? What do you want? How do you know about my mother?
The venom in my voice is apparent, as is the confusion in hers.
Your mother? No, I speak of the woman you wed. Her death was a blessing.
But I don't know if this is any better. Nobody else except for myself, Johannes, and the police force should be aware of what befell Hannah. It is all kept discreet. The chaos of what will happen if people find out held off. After all, this is an Evans and a Wright we're talking about. She's practically royalty in Luxborn.
What? How did you?
Without drawing too much attention to it, I reach for the mobile in my pocket. One press would be all it takes to call the other man here so we can get rid of the pest. I do it myself, but I'm unarmed, near defenseless. But my phone isn't here.
I'm going out for some fresh air. If anybody calls, tell them they can sort off and bother me another day.
Of course, of all the time for me to ditch the bloody thing. But I should be able to take care of one woman, right? There's nobody but Johannes and I on the property, far removed from the village and the rest of society. A fist to the throat, a quick twist to the neck, a blade to the jugular. Though forget that last one. Unfortunate for me, I don't have my knife either. But looking back at her, I freeze in place.
Is something the matter? You look affright.
What? The fuck? I try to scream, but it's stuck in my throat.
Please do not torment yourself. You have nothing to worry about. I would never harm you. This home still needs its lord, our prince. Come, my lord, the house beckons.
Gone was the beautiful woman, and in her place is this grotesque witch, this monster, surreal and horrifying. That's it, I've gone mad, driven crazy by guilt for the sins I've committed. And this is the devil that would torment me for all eternity. But even the idea that this is all a dream, a nightmare, doesn't stop me from flinching away at her touch. It definitely does not stop me from breaking off into a run. I can still feel her eyes on me as I run back to the house, but I refuse to acknowledge it a little and look back. All I need to do is get away from her and to make sure she stays away. If that means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe, nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. It must have been a sight to see the usually composed and reserved Luke Wright bursting through the doors. But there is a time and a place for keeping appearances. The time when one's life is on the line is not one of them. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she followed me. She's gone. I feel relieved, though I really shouldn't be. Stopping to catch my breath, Johannes' sudden appearance nearly makes me jump out of my skin.
Don't fucking do that! You son of a bitch! If I had a gun, I would have shot you!
If I had any love left for my mutter, I'd take offense. But what happened to you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Oh, if only it were such a delusion. But I can still feel the faintest touch of her fingers. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost.
In the garden, there was a woman.
And there's always a woman with you, isn't there?
That's not what I mean. Listen, she knows that Hannah is dead.
Strange. The house was empty. Is empty. I made sure of that. Can you describe this woman?
Are you deaf? I told you she knows that Hannah is dead. What does it matter what she looks like? What is this with this interrogation anyway? Do you not believe me?
Frustration bleeds in my very being when he just raises his brow at me. What does it matter what she looks like unless we're going to go look for her? Oh, of course. But I have to fight off the panic as I try to recall her features. I hurry up the stairs into the east hallway with the butler at my heels. All this just to get as far away as I physically can from the gardens before I dare speak of her again.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
And did she know who killed the madam?
It didn't seem like she knew who it was. But she still knows that Hana is dead. You know I'm not gonna do well if I go under investigation right now.
Ruhe, bitte. Calm down and think, right? Think. The body hasn't been moved. She must have been near it to know of it. If she knows there's a corpse, we can go about this two ways. Either we find her and take care of her, or we...
Make her take the fall. That's all well and good. Brilliant. But there's just one thing.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end at the mere thought of that woman. I don't know if it was a trick of the light, but I don't think I was imagining things. And though he might think me a lunatic, I can only go on.
Well, she was this thing. A monster. A witch. I know how it sounds. I sound like... okay, fuck. It sounds like I've gone off my rocker with all that's happened.
I expect to hear disregard, concern for my mental state, and maybe even empty platitudes relating to my guilt. But instead, the other man grows deathly silent, a thoughtful look on his face.
I would normally say that seeing hallucinations is a normal human experience, even if this does not sound like a bereavement hallucination. But the woman you described is familiar. I've seen her before in the mansion. Glimpses.
Is she one of ours, then? You must know her name now that you know what she looks like.
I thought at first that her name may have merely slipped my mind. I've asked the head housemaid to reprimand her, for she was always loitering about when I saw her. But the old woman confirms. We do not have anyone fitting the description under our employ.
So what I saw, what you saw, what was that? I don't understand. Explain, Shurkin. Please tell me I'm not going mad.
We will have a head count of the female staff in the morning, and I'll assign stricter security protocols when the staff returns. It's better we rule things out before jumping to conclusions. I will have to check for tampering as well.
Tampering?
Psychotropic drugs to start off with, perhaps in the water supply. I suggest you not worry yourself about it. You are unharmed. That is what matters right now. If it makes you feel any better, I'll stand guard outside for the night.
No, that does nothing to make me feel any better. If that woman was a hallucination, a walking nightmare, what could a guard do to stop her from appearing before me once more? And if she comes into my dreams, I loathe to think I would need to cry for help like an infant in need of his mother. A tense silence befalls us, and though I don't dare to speak it out loud, I would say that we both seem scared. Often, I'm the first to break anything of the sort, but...
Shall I put them in a vase?
I'm confused before I realize what I have in my grip.
What? Oh, these? I didn't realize I still had them.
I really did not. But there they were, still in my grip, and the daffodils are the daffodils I've taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I had refused to let go of them, whether I was conscious of it or not. They should be for Mother. They could be for Hannah too. But does it even matter? What do dead women care for flowers? Well, I suppose Hannah would have loved them.
No, I think I'll take them with me. And if you don't mind, I'm going to turn in for the night.
Of course. I shan't keep you any longer. I'll be out here if you need anything.
I don't care enough to show any sign that I've heard him, retreating to the master bedroom without another word. I toss the bouquet of daffodils to the bed with only a minute glance at the nursery door. The thing is sealed with police tape, garish, ugly, and tacky in all of these. They've already taken the body to the LCPD morgue, sometime while I was talking to Officer Lee yesterday. They made quick work of it, my boys, because they knew a proper investigation was pointless if I have a story to feed to them. There'd be nothing left for her but bloodstains and a chalk outline. Not bothering to strip of my clothes, I flop onto bed, tired and alone. I've always been a light sleeper. One has to be growing up as I did. Living in a bad neighborhood meant the possibility of break-ins were all too real and frequent. A horrible thought considering what little material possession we had. That was the least of our problems, of course. With my mother's profession, many with threatened violence as well, towards both her and I. And things never change even now that I'm in a better place. But at the very least, I have one less thing to worry about tonight. Because really, that Zachary was a bloody blessing in disguise. I needed a way to cover up Hannah's death or make it so that I wasn't a suspect. By some stroke of luck, the answer to my problems just broke into my home and waltzed in. He will take the fall. The fucker already gone to the room on his own. His DNA is already going to be all over the place to incriminate him. If that's not enough, it'll be easy to falsify evidence, I can make sure of that. Still, the thought of that woman yesterday and the danger she presented was enough to wake me up several times through the night. So suffice to say, I'm not very happy that anyone would dare to separate me from my true love, the bed. The rain that had started sometime during the night didn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange sunny weather had been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. It does let up within a quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. There's this rubbish about how the heavens cry with you through the rain. If anyone sentimental enough knows of what I've done, they'd probably spout this stupid thought my way. Well, I think it's a load of bull. Hannah would roll in her grave the thought that the heavens made it rain for her. She was never one for dreary weather, always enjoying the scarce sunshine on rare sunny days. She had been loving the abnormally sunny week thus far. If only things had not come to this. But it is already far too late to regret everything, and thankfully somebody interrupts before I can start brooding on the what-ifs. Perhaps the only time I can appreciate the man's insufferable prying.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
The detached manner in which he admits this annoys me to no end.
Oh, as a matter of fact, it is your life in danger. Because if I find you lacking, if that woman finds their way anywhere near me again, you'll be following in the footsteps of your predecessor. Are we clear? Do what you have to. In fact, it'd be best if you keep busy. Do what needs to be done, and if I see you even idling for 1 second, I won't be happy.
He doesn't say anything. There's no witty retort. It isn't a threat, but a promise, after all. I don't take kindly to incompetence, especially when it comes to affairs that affect my very safety. I will kill if it ensures that I live.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Though I'll deny it, I do find myself a tiny bit interested.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
Ever consider she might be putting her paycheck to good use? Probably somewhere out there getting drunk, having a shag. Ugh, and I envy her for it. As long as she's here for work, what and who she does in her free time is her business.
Hell, maybe she's found another client to sleep with. I'll commend her if that is the case. It's a good way as any to make connections and get business. I'd be a hypocrite and a liar if I said I didn't get some of my business that way. Scratches the itch, too.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
So did he mispronounce that, or is that how the British pronounce that word? I don't know.
Okay, interesting as all this is, why bring this to my attention? If we've lost an interior designer, just find someone else to take her place.
If I knew that letting Hannah hire her would bring so much trouble, I would have stopped it at just the sex.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
It's of little import that I can easily prove my innocence. It is all a matter of principle. Because even the accusation of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation. Although maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle to have police poking about the house looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over on my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ugh.
Screw what Hannah said. She's dead now.
Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
That bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Might want to hurry, Luke. You might give her some sugar so she's hopped up on you. Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid. Wonderful. Better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hannah business. Fortunately, I am well versed in how the world works. I have long learned that the show must go on, no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bed hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber's was, I often had to grow it out until Mother had the time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start of the day. But something catches my eye. My clothes and personal effects are already set on the dresser for the day. Boxers, trousers, belt, and socks on one side with my shirt, jacket, and tie on the other. It's always the same things, always. Cufflinks, colognes, and anything else I would like to add stays in the dresser for me to choose from. It's all routine. However, among the silvers, the grays, and the red is a tiny blue box.
Now, what is this?
The thing is small and light, fitting in the palm of my hand. Too big to be a ring box, but too large to be a watch box. Looking at it closer, I see that it's one of my handkerchiefs used for wrapping. It's easy enough to untie the knot to reveal a plain box inside. An odd and quaint way to wrap up a gift, I suppose. Though presentation should be the last thing I need to be worried about. Mail, packages, gifts, and the likes are supposed to be vetted before they get to me. In the morning, Johannes would hand me a list of things I need to look over and go through, yet there was no forewarning of this. Immediately, I dropped the thing as if it burned me.
I shouldn't have touched that. I shouldn't have touched that.
It very well might have. Without security going over it, it could be a nasty gift for me. I can still remember when a security guard died to contact poison that covered an innocent enough birthday card, for fuck's sake. But as the box hits the ground, it spills its contents. What I see makes my stomach turn. Horrors in a box unlocked. An eyeball, still with its nerve ending, mucus and all, plops to the ground. I have to fight the urge to gag as it rolls and stares up at me.
Oh, God. That's sick. That is sick. It's still wet. My bloody fucking... That is disgusting.
I'm not a stranger to being sent threats, but this has to be the first time I've been sent a body part. Even I don't do that. Yet there's no note or sign as to who may have sent it or how it got here. If this is a threat, it's a piss-poor way of doing it, considering it lacks proper planning outside the shock factor that sending a whole body part affords them. Do I even know anyone whose eyes are the same shade? Not Hannah's? No, definitely not. They aren't as pretty and aren't the right color. Johanna's? Mr. or Mrs. Lee, Suarez, McCullough. No, the color isn't familiar at all. Though honestly, it's not like I take the time to memorize each and every person's eye. This could be anyone's, from a guard or a maid or one of the other 100 of people I deal with. Kylie can't see this. The kid is tough, but this'll traumatize her. Grabbing the handkerchief that was used for wrapping, I try to pick up the eyeball to dispose of it. Emphasis on try. Contact even with the fabric has me gagging. The thought of squishing it and covering my fingers with the slick and slime of it made me recoil. But the slightest of touch is enough to make the eyeball roll towards the bed. And in my mad scramble to make a grab for it, it rolls even further. Farther under the bed until it's smack dab middle. There, it just taunts me from where it sits out of my reach, green iris fixed on me again, perhaps judging my poor attempts to get it.
To hell with it! Ugh, I don't have time for this!
I wash my hands of this, quite literally at that. Though I wish it isn't easier said than done. The nagging in the back of my head, the voice that tells me I need to be more cautious about this, refuses to push the matter aside. While it is true that it is cause for concern without demands or anything of the like, worrying will do very little to help. Looking around the room, I try to see if any other presents have been left behind. To my relief, aside from the blue box, nothing else is out of place. The most I can do right now is alert the present security staff about this breach. Watch out for any other threats. If they have a message for me, they'll most likely send it with their next gift. Whoever has sent this eye, I would assume that it is more to shake me up more than anything else at the moment. It'll be best to act if this didn't happen. No need to make a child worry about it either. She doesn't need to know. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child. While I try to forget the horrors that come in a box.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Speak of the devil and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our play date today.
I nearly did, really. It's hard to remember something as trivial as an ordinary playdate when there's murder fresh on one's mind. But there's this instinct long ingrained to act as if everything is normal despite the blood on my hands. Else I would have spiraled out of control a long time ago, and things wouldn't be as good as they are now. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have me to thank for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Well, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, now 1 year old, and swaddled in her mother's arm in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant, too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortilla de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, the Suarez's infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Oh, slow down. The food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I want her to turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes and she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa, or Cisa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now, it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it if it hasn't from Hannah, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loved her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest along with the wife. It's not something that Hannah does wrong on her part. She does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child. Treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I at least have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they played and how they think. I know that scraps and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground, make a mess in the mud, or even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hannah wasn't quite up for those sorts of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. It turned a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a little girl, but it doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She once put dolls' tutus on model cars, even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. So I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for you guys. If you haven't figured it out, Takako is the name of the maid, the ghost. Hopefully by now you put 2 and 2 together. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacred by dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxland in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more. The memory of my initial meeting with her is still fresh on my mind. The little brat is quick to defend her favorite academic as well. The woman has yet to offer a proper apology, and she wishes to give one on her behalf, all diplomatic-like I taught her. She talks of the sad man in the park, and of her new friend who likes to play hide-and-seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. So the man in the park is Zach, if you don't remember. When finally she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course. The calm before the storm. Because behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the yellow one. I absentmindedly start to doodle flowers, which are just about the only thing I can actually do decently. I've halfway filled the page with yellow when Kylie breaks her silence.
Are you alright, Tio? I heard about what happened to Tia.
I feel as if the ground was pulled from underneath me for a moment there, caught off guard as I am. I was expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me. But this? How much maneuvering do I have to make in order for her to drop this topic?
And what exactly did you hear?
They say that a bad man hurt her. Is that why she's not here right now, Tio?
That black man's arrest isn't exactly a state secret, but isn't exactly common knowledge either. It only happened yesterday, after all. I asked members of the press who found out not to cover it until I'm ready, to give me time to grieve, I told them. Complete bullshit.
The other grown-ups won't tell me when I ask. This is just like when my pet Pato disappeared! Papa and Mama wouldn't tell me what happened to him! They just told me that she's gone to a better place. Now they're saying Tia's gone, but they won't tell me where she went! All these days that they caught the bad man who hurt her! Please tell me, Tio! What happened to her? Is she gone too? Like Pato? Because of that man?
My answer catches in the back of my throat. It feels as if I'm drowning on air. It's like you said. A bad man hurt her. I killed her. That's the whole truth, no sugarcoating it. And there are 101 reasons why I cannot confess. Though the most important reason in this moment is that, well, I don't want Kylie to be afraid of me. To see her bubbly face break into one of horror and disgust. If that happened, I don't know if I can keep on pretending that I'm anything but a monster. But I cannot find it in myself to lie to her. At the same time, telling the truth will kill me. She must have taken my silence for confirmation. Though I have to look away when she starts crying, only realizing then the dampness in my own cheeks. And when my own shaking is too much for me, I hide my face in my hands, ashamed. It feels like forever where we don't say anything. I'm only pulled out of my own self-loathing and despair when I feel a light touch on my knee.
Tia was a really, really nice lady. She always smiled whenever I visit, and she wasn't mean. Even when I called her boring and my mama scolded me, she only laughed. We didn't play much, but she'd always give me a hug.
She was her godparent after all, and not I, for all that the child liked calling me the fairy godfather. Hannah would always say that it's my fault that Kylie favored me more than her, called me a godchild thief in jest. But then she would always look so proud of me when I took care of the child.
Oh, I'll miss her, Tio.
As do I. So very much, Munchkin. I miss our Tia so much.
And even with her teary eyes, she gives me a small smile. She moves her hand to grasp mine and gives my hand a gentle squeeze.
What about the babies? Do you miss them too?
What babies, Munchkin?
The nursery sealed by police tape comes to mind. Johannes knew of it, not a complete surprise. But Kylie? Kylie knew? Wait, babies? More than one? How many more that knew Hannah was with child? Children even before I found out.
Her doctor said there were 2 of them. Tia and Tia's babies. They're twins. That's terrible, Tia. You forgot about them already?
She says more, but everything around me wavers, nausea building. Sounds around me dull down to a buzzing in the air, and I can only hunch over, stare at my hands, afraid that I would throw up. I feel sick. I'm sick. I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. So it is a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I called. Though it is earlier than the agreed-upon time, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they left. Or at least I interpret it as such from where I've stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man, after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about in the parlor, to my immense, immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But the same cannot be said of the crayons and papers littered here and there. First things first. I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it to shreds, leaving a hope that it will see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. And here we go. Remember, she had the black crayon. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colorful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There's one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpiece, I'm instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. There is me, and there is Kylie, the two of us side by side and smiling as our stick figure selves stand in a nondescript field. That much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman with her face hidden behind a curtain of black. Takako, they're writing under her supplies.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
One big happy family unlocked.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath. That isn't mine. That has me turning around, expecting, hoping to see someone, anyone, but nothing. And that's when I hear it. Laughter, sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot. It's as if I'm being mocked. As I stomp towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about, idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they could slack off in their duties without the head butler around, and with my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance, at the very least. I roam around looking for near impossible hiding places, and still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Cold uneasiness settles into my stomach when no one answers. I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea come from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the whole world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave then and there. The only thing my pride allowed me to do then is close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flash in my head unbidden and unwelcome. Like a strong hammer strike to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in 2. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable. Though it doesn't take long for these sensations to get into my head, through my eyes and my ears, it creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. A lovely meal in the gardens on a rare sunny day. The lord and his lady cannot be any happier, but one woman seethes, looking on in despair. Jealousy present itself, like wriggling worms trying to force themselves down my throat.
I'm so delighted you can be here with me today, my love. I miss you so.
I am but your most humble servant, milady. I do regret that the trades keep me away far too often. But simply say the word and I'll...
Oh, hush. It is a little import now. All that matters is you are here, my love. Now enough of that. I have good news. Do you recall the confectionery we used to frequent? From the western edge of the village, down by the river?
I feel sick, utterly green in the gills at this sensation, lasting until its image is all but washed away by another. She nearly drops her tray as she enters her lady's bedchambers. The lady is being taken against the wall like a common street whore. That man is not her lord, her prince, but she is not of a station that will allow her to judge. That doesn't keep the shock from her features or from her voice.
Milady, I brought the My apologies.
Her voice is small, subdued, and shy. Though the lady needs no words to express her displeasure as her face turns from one of pleasure into that of anger and accusation. Her glare burns, focused and scalding. If looks could murder, the servant girl would be dead where she stands. All the while, her lover still moves in and out of her, either unaware of the audience or enjoying the act even more because of it. It hurt. She doesn't want this.
You lacked care. You forget your place, and you've indulged yourself far too much in this fantasy of yours.
This is vile, like vomit and sludge brushing against my skin before it covers me until I'm weighed down. Disgusting. Wrong. Stop it.
You've overstepped your boundaries and livery.
Stop it. This is wrong. Please.
May I remind you that you are nothing but a servant, a slave, an unattractive, unchaste harlot who thinks too much of herself.
Please, no more. My heart feels like it's seizing in my chest, like it's being squeezed and the pressure won't stop until it bursts.
Are you truly storming off over some hearsay? Be sensible!
What you did, it is... There are no words. You bring disgrace to this family. This rotten noble standing in front of me is not the cousin I grew up with. This is not the lady I fell in love with. She would never do such unspeakable things, Charlotte!
I bring disgrace. I bring disgrace. I am not the idiot who's running off in the middle of the night. You promised, Edward. You gave me your word. Don't you dare turn your back on me. I swear to you, if you step 1 foot out of these lands, mark my words, Edward, I will.
What? What is it you swear? Will your men steal me away, defile me too like what you did to yourself?
There's an undercurrent of fear. I'm in danger, my head screams at me. And there's hurt. A deep burning shame I can feel on the woman's behalf. Looking at her on its own is a chore I cannot bear. Over and over it hurts. The pain, however, is not overbearing or blinding. It is the littlest of cuts and the bruising of flesh by blunt force. It dribbles down my cheeks and my mouth. There is a pounding in my head. It is not blinding, but that makes it all starker. Everything hurts.
Please, milady, he need not suffer. I beg of you, have mercy. You already have me to do as you please. He deserves none of this.
Why is this happening?
Silence, before I cut out that impertinent tongue of yours and feed it to the dogs. You will watch and you will learn what happens when I am displeased.
What have I done to deserve this? Whispers and accusations fill every crevice in my head, ringing and echoing around like a terrible case of tinnitus. They stare, gazes filled with judgment and disgust. Even before their beloved lady has spoken, she's already condemned.
This horrid woman! I beg the court for justice! Who knows what this devil's bride is capable of? She has already bewitched my love, my betrothed. I just cannot bear to think of what she has done to him after. Or what else she may do to our people if we let her live. Blood taints this woman's hands, and I deserve to be repaid in kind for that which she has taken from me.
There is nothing for her but death, and she knows this. Her silence says as much. One after the other, they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away for what feels like an eternity. Each one, a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that present itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that is not possible. All their anger burns through me, that much is evident, but the pain more so. And above all of it are the whispers. The voices calling, luring until one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open, looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. And living memory unlocked. There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind feels it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and a woman, though one can only call them a lord and a lady going by their clothes. And oh, just see how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not all there. His face is familiar, though. In fact, they both are, but I can't quite place why. The two make for a pretty picture as they dance in the center of the ballroom. Even the Phantom's crowd has attention stay on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and I during the early days of our marriage. The honeymoon years, they call it. We were happy then, too. All smiles and her sunshine, even with the normal dreary weather. Younger, we had less to worry about, or at least thought that way. I wished we could go on that way, even with all that I did and had to do. But life has a way of catching up. There was work to be done. Although we had to stay the loving perfect couple in public, I could not afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who know who I really am. I had to harden my heart when I had business, but it hadn't always been so easy to just switch that part of me on and off. I should be concerned about their intrusion too. Ask what in bloody hell they are doing in my house, throwing a party as if they own the place. Ask myself how the fuck I didn't notice what was going on before, when the parlor and the foyer are both only a few doors away. There's a horrid feeling of envy. And though I have long accepted that I am a jealous person by nature, I have never felt such a strong feeling of envy as I have now. They were happy with each other, these people, but Hannah and I. Envy turned into anger. Anger for something I could not have. But I have the feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me notice. I realize that this might not even be real. It dawns on me that these two are the people from the paintings, the ones all over the mansion. Which makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make this up all on my own. This has to be a dream. Or a really horrible high. Just then I can feel eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find difficulty in trying to tear my eyes away from the two dancing. I manage, and I regret looking away. The woman from the garden stands beside me. I can hear her rattling breath, menacing and chilling. Everything in me screams to run, but something pins me to the spot as she just looks at me, watching and waiting. The clamor of their voices fill the ballroom. Although they say such welcoming words, I do not feel comforted by the madness I'm experiencing. Their joyous voices turn sinister and foreboding to my ears. The chorus of people that shouldn't exist, threaten to overwhelm me, drown me even as I stand on dry land. The music still plays as the Phantom Quartet continues while I stand there, vulnerable and afraid, but the dance has already ended. And I'm afraid that I might just be tonight's entertainment. Tension is all well and good until bullocks like this go down. These Phantom people watch me, thousands of eyes scrutinizing, though they cheer for my return, cajole me to dance and join the merriment. There are eager hands all over, pulling me in every direction, but they do not move me enough to remove me from the woman's gaze.
Listen. Can you not hear them as they welcome you home? Your kind. Our kind. You're one of us, my lord. We are bonded by the blood we've shed.
If I thought the voices were overwhelming before, it is nothing compared to how they are now. Their voices are loud, speaking in unison and echoing ever on in the spaces of my head. They welcome me back, as if I've always belonged, as if I was meant to be here in the first place. They call me all these titles and names that do not belong to me, and that man's face, the one with the empty eyes, flashes again before me, once fleetingly, like a new memory having burned itself in my mind. I have to struggle for air when I come back to myself after.
I'm not. This isn't.
The welcomes turn into screams in my protest, pained and desperate pleas for my help, telling me that it is my duty to stay, telling me that I belong among them, to them. Gentle touches turn near threatening, the warning scratches and the baring of teeth by predators before they truly maim someone. My mouth goes dry as I struggle to speak some sense in this hallucinatory madness, but I don't get the chance as they drown out my voice.
Our lord. My prince.
At her words, there is a compulsion to stay. Though my heart races in my chest, the fear I should be experiencing refuses to register in my head. Mind and body war with each other, nearly tearing me in two. Oh, you finally returned to us. The compulsion to walk into her arms is strong. Whispers in my head tell me to go to her. They say that she is safety, she is home and heart. We've been waiting for so long. But repulsed at these thoughts, I retch away and turn with a small gasp. Without hesitation, I start to make a run for it. I nearly falter when an angry shriek pierces the air, inhumane and monstrous. I don't dare look back. I just run. I don't care if this is a drug-induced hallucination or not. Just run.